Hi everyone, happy Money Monday. It is Financial Sharktress Galit Sadiq. Today is going to be a special topic to me, a fun topic to me, because this is something that not only do I think is so important, but it's obviously something that I practice what I preach, and it's something that I know that everyone can use, no matter where you are in life, no matter what position you're in. If you own your own business or if you work for somebody else, there is always going to be negotiation involved. Even in your personal relationships, your interpersonal relationships, your romantic relationships, the negotiation is something that when you are dealing with another person, with other people, with other motivations, you are going to need to have some negotiating skills. And so that's something that I definitely recommend for everyone to work on. Before I start, I do want to say it is Martin Luther King Day, and I do want to take a second to recognize, or a moment to recognize the amazing impact that Martin Luther King Jr. had on the world, had on the USA, um, had on social justice, he was a staunch Zionist, and he believed in eradicating anti-Semitism as well. So that's something that I don't take lightly, right? Being Jewish, being Israeli, understanding that kind of scapegoatism, understanding that kind of hurt and pain, and the way that you know, people have been treated over the years, and understanding that we share this in common is important to me. So on that note, I want to go into negotiation. So one of the very first things that I like to tell people is know and understand your worth, right? So this is like a prime tenet of negotiation. You need to understand what you are willing to accept, understand who you are, what is your skill level, what are you bringing to the table. And when you do know that, and so if this is going for a job, let's say, you need to, if you want to, going into the negotiation, if you want to list out all of the skills that you have and why they are a match for that job or that assignment, do that, right? It is always good to come in with bullet points. It's always good to come in already practicing, knowing your worth. And also, when you've established your worth, and this is probably the hardest thing for most people, it is, don't be afraid to walk away. If someone is not recognizing the value that you bring, um, spend some time giving them the information that they need in order to recognize that value. But if that day is not coming, you just don't think that you're going to align, then be prepared to walk away, because that specific opportunity is not your opportunity. It is not going to be good for you. Because what I see people do a lot of times is they take the opportunity, and then they go into it frustrated and not wanting to be there. And if you're frustrated and not wanting to be there and feel undervalued, you are not going to give that opportunity the time, the energy, the effort, the mental capacity that it deserves. So do them a favor and do yourself a favor by saying, hey, that's okay. We just can't meet here. We're too far apart and we can't figure out a way to make it work. And that's okay because it is. Oh, I got a message. Hoping you talk tonight and not take the holiday. I just somehow knew you would too. Keep going, Gully. Today is important. Love you, Sharktress. Love you too. Okay. So when you're going through the actual negotiation, so first of all, you've written down, let's say we're going into negotiation. You've written down your points. You know your bullet points. Practice it out with someone who's completely unbiased, right? Someone who is not part of the negotiation, maybe just a close friend or a person that that if this is a job interview, maybe talk to a business owner, right? If I came, if you have a friend business owner, say like, hey, if I came into this situation and these were the points that I told you, how would that hit you? Right? And so it could be a fellow business owner, it could be your friend, your family, a partner, whoever it is that you feel comfortable rehearsing with. Rehearse and make sure that it's somebody who is comfortable enough with you to provide feedback. Right? Because how are you going to know how it hit? How are you going to know how to get better? It only happens if you get feedback from someone. If somebody tells you, "Hey, the way that you said that got me defensive. The way that you said that just made me feel ick for a second." And that could happen. And then you work on how you reword that. And that's a great way to practice, right? Just get your points written down, practice with a friend, practice with a neighbor, practice with a coworker. If you're going for a promotion, I've personally done this, like made an entire slideshow of why I deserved a promotion back when I was working for other people and like spoke to a coworker about it and said, hey, if you got this, how did it, like, what would you think? How would it feel for you? Okay, so you've practiced, you get there. Now what? Confidence, right? If you want to do like a yoga position, like a warrior position before you get in there, open yourself up, make sure that you come in there taking up the space. Own your space. Walk in knowing your worth, owning that space, and you'll be ready, right? Confidence is key. If you are not confident in what you want, if you are not confident in what you're saying is your skill set, it's not believable and it's not going to end in a great negotiation for you. So make sure you've got eye contact with them, right? You want to make sure that you're looking at them. I'm looking at the camera right now. Okay. And tell them about the abilities and the things that you bring to the table and make sure it's assertive, right? You want to own it. You want to not like go at it wishy-washy, like, hey, I have these skills. That doesn't bode well, right? You want to say, hey, these are the skills that I have. And I think that these skills would be perfect for this opportunity because, right? Always give them a reason. You also not only have to value yourself, but you need to build the value for them, right? They want to know why you believe that you're this valuable. Build that for them. Show them. Give them the opportunity to learn about you. And that's where the points that you wrote down are useful for. So if you've done that, definitely do not forget about accomplishments. Like, I've only talked about skills up until now, but you've got accomplishments. You've done things. And make sure that those are part of your negotiation. You want to be proud of your accomplishments. You want to talk about your accomplishments. You want to talk about the time that you helped this in another position because, you know, of your knowledge and your skill. You want to have those accomplishments. You want to show them that you are used to using your skills to do good, to do what they need. So another Facebook user said, Abriella Milazzo. Okay, so maybe it's Abriella that was listening. I see a bunch of you on Instagram too. I just wanted to say hello to everyone who joined. Okay, so another thing, besides your accomplishments, besides your skills, you want to set clear boundaries. So you have non-negotiables. You have things that you're not going to accept. Make sure that those are clear and be very transparent and very clear, and make sure you prioritize the things that you value. And so that you make sure that it aligns with you professionally and personally, right? It's not always going to be both. Sometimes you're coming into this for a specific reason, but again, you want to make sure that even in a professional setting, that what you choose in the end, whatever the outcome is, that it aligns with what you want and where you want to go, right? So please make sure that you do not, and this is another, it's okay to walk away. If it does not align with it, then that's okay. And that's just not your opportunity. And it's okay for it not to be your opportunity, because another opportunity will come that does match what you want. As long as you continue to go out and look for things, right? So make sure that you've got a large network, right? Let's say it's for a job position or something like that. Let's say you're looking for something. Make sure that you reach out to your network and you let them know that you're looking, and make sure if it's a job you're applying to multiple, because that'll give you leverage, right? If you are in a position of need, in a position of lack, in a position of scarcity, in a position of desperation, you are going to forget about your boundaries. You're going to forget about what you need, because your base level need of having enough money to survive is not being met. That is an issue, right? You don't ever want to come into this position where you need the other person or the other thing more than they need you. We want, in all negotiations, we want to find a solution that is a win-win, right? They get something they need, you get something you need. If you are negotiating from a losing standpoint, let's say you want them to lose, or they want you to lose, that's not an open, good negotiation. It shouldn't be like that, right? You value them, they value you, and you find a solution that works for the both of you. So please make sure that you are not coming at this, especially, I find this a lot with business owners. You don't want to screw anyone over, right? That's not the point of a negotiation. The point is for both sides to win. Maybe both sides give up a little bit, and that's fine. but both sides should be getting something at the end, something of value, something that makes sense to them, something that's worth it. I know I remember this day, and I was in the the Goldman Sachs 10,000 small business course, and we had negotiation day, and we were given sides to the negotiation, and the result, the ending result, was different than I thought it was going to be. And that's because I assumed that people act rationally, right? I assumed that you're not going to go into a negotiation and accept a loss. And what I found was that was not always the case. Sometimes it's about the emotion of the sale. It's about the emotion of just getting it done, that you actually give up a bit of what you need. And so I don't want that to ever, and as the negotiator, as like someone who went into this understanding like, oh, I'm going to try to get the most out of this, which I realized was not the best way to go into it. Because what happened was the other side got less than they deserved. And that day, that moment changed it for me. It changed the way that I think about negotiations. What it did was make it so that I realized that there's another person with needs on the other side of it. And sometimes they're not going to act rationally. You know, like I assumed, like if you're at a loss, you're not going to take that loss. Why would you take the loss? This is a imaginary situation. Of course you're not going to take a loss on an imaginary situation. But people do. And that's because they did not stick to their worth. They did not understand. And both parties did not come to the table looking for a win-win, right? What you want to do is always make sure, because if you don't get a win-win, people are going to have a bad taste in their mouth from working with you, and they're not going to want to continue to work with you. So you may have won in that second, but you're not going to win on the next one, right? They're just not going to work with you ever again. And that's a lesson to learn, right? You always want both sides to come into this with boundaries and knowing their worth and respecting themselves, and for both sides to win. And understand also that when you do this, a win-win doesn't mean that both of you get exactly what you want. There's so many ways, and you can be imaginative about how to achieve this position, right? You can negotiate, let's say it's position, less money, but maybe stock options, less money, but maybe benefits. You know, understand the things that matter to you and what you're willing to negotiate and what you're willing to go through. And what in the end is going to make you feel happy and going to make you feel safe and going to make you feel good about taking that opportunity. Because the bottom line is, it hurts everyone when one side is unhappy. It hurts everyone when one side loses, right? And it also hurts everyone when you settle for less than what you want, because guess what? You are not going to give that opportunity, that position, that whatever it is, that relationship, 100% of yourself. You're not, because you feel like you're giving too much and getting too little. And there, and even if you take it and let's say you got some money and blah blah blah, you're surviving now, right? You've survived, but you're unhappy. Now your health is it's taking a toll on your health. It's taking a toll on your mental health. It's taking a toll on the relationships with the people around you. And that's what happens when you settle for less than you're worth. So please go into your life, go into your opportunities, go into your businesses, and make sure that you are negotiating and you are getting the best deal for both parties, the best deal for yourself, the best deal for them. You are giving 100, you are doing it in a way that you can give 110% because you don't feel frustrated, you don't feel taken advantage of, you feel good about the transaction, right? Again, if someone doesn't feel good at the end, okay, you could feel like, hey, I didn't get everything I wanted. That's fine. Nobody gets everything that they want in a negotiation unless the other person loses. And that's not the place you want to be. Because guess what? When the other person loses, they're either not going to give you 100% or they're never going to work with you again. So either way, you've lost, even if you won that day. But if you're in a win-win situation where both of you get enough of what you want to make sure that it aligns with your values, it aligns with who you are, it aligns with what you need in order to value yourself, right? So you took enough money, you made sure that the client was paying you enough, you priced your product correctly, whatever it is, you were in your relationship, and as long as both sides have compromised, both sides are happy, both sides feeling like they're both okay, like we got enough to merit this interaction, that's when you've both won the negotiation. And that is the goal. And that should be the goal of negotiating in general. It's got to be a win-win. You have to add value, they have to add value, and you got to stick to your guns and understand your worth and know your value. Because when you've lost is when you haven't stuck to your guns. It is when you've operated at a loss. It is when you've operated from a place of scarcity and desperation. That's when you lose in a negotiation. So on that note, have a happy Money Monday, happy Martin Luther King Jr. Day. I hope that all of you take a moment and just think about everything that I said and everything that was brought into this world by the amazing human that we're celebrating today. On that note, good night until next Monday. Bye.